The Elf That Cried Darkvision, A Tale for Young Adventurers by John Starshine Greenall. Deep in the woods, hidden in the trees, nestled between the two great seas, there was a little village made of brick, and in this village lived Fiddlestick. Fiddlestick was an elf, both young and small, but Fiddlestick never ignored adventure's call. Whenever the army left on a quest, Fiddlestick tagged along as an uninvited guest. Fiddlestick would follow the knights far and wide, going up the hills and back down the sides. "Go home, young Fiddlestick," shouted the men, but Fiddlestick ignored them again and again. They marched for 3 days and an extra night, and Fiddlestick never left their sight. No matter the time, wind or weather, the brave little elf seemed light as a feather. They soon arrived at a mountain as black as coal. On its face sat a deep, dank hole. "Be careful when we go inside," said the man in front, as all the horses let out a loud and terrified grunt. But Fiddlestick didn't care and skipped ahead, while the knights all debated where to tread. A night worn the dark was heavy and thick. "Don't worry, I have Darkvision," shouted Fiddlestick. But this was a lie, a fib, a fable. To see in the dark, Fiddlestick was unable. He stumbled around and rubbed the rocks, while the knights fumbled for their tinderbox. Fiddlestick was lost, you see, but the silly elf was too proud to flee. So he stumbled forward in the gloom, hoping to find a hidden and well-lit room. Alas, there was nothing even close, and young Fiddlestick thought he was toast. He wouldn't turn back, he had come too far, and he couldn't reveal his embellished repertoire. But the darkness grew thicker and dimmer, there was no light, not even a shimmer. But under his foot there was a crack, followed by a hard, echoing clack. Fiddlestick heard a growl, low and deep. The young elf's eyes moistened and started to weep, as out from the shadows a monster glared, and Fiddlestick was unprepared. Suddenly a crash came from overhead, filling Fiddlestick's tummy with dread. A torrent of rocks rolled through the cave, forming a dark and powerful wave. The monster yelped and looked around, only to see the approaching rocky mound. The stone wave slammed it to the floor, until the massive beast was no more. The rock slid away down a ravine, into a place that couldn't be seen. A knight with a lantern came into the cave, oblivious to Fiddlestick's close shave. He just saw the beast splayed on the floor, as Fiddlestick stood in a puddle of gore. He had doubted Fiddlestick on the way, but the little elf had clearly won the day. "I said I could do it," Fiddlestick smirked, happy that his blundering worked. "Your Darkvision was the key," replied the knight without hyperbole. And the knight told the others the fantastic news, that Fiddlestick had won without a bruise. Fiddlestick's Darkvision was praised far and wide, and Fiddlestick wore the lie with pride. Soon Fiddlestick was called on every quest, everyone thought the elf was the best. Whenever there was darkness to explore, little Fiddlestick was who you asked for. "I have Darkvision," echoed across the land, shouted by young Fiddlestick, sword in hand. Dark caverns, haunted keeps and dungeons galore, Fiddlestick beat them and asked for more. Sure, Fiddlestick couldn't see in the gloom, but foes always accidentally met their doom. Tripping, falling and lucky rocks galore, all were added to Fiddlestick's score. The elf was known far and wide for being a hero who wouldn't hide, using his Darkvision to take down every threat without even breaking into a sweat. Then the queen invited Fiddlestick to the castle for a task that she said ought to be no hassle. Fiddlestick had to retrieve a bag of gold, as into a big hole it had rolled. Fiddlestick nodded and went on his way, heading out on his quest without any delay. Several knights offered to give Fiddlestick aid, but he was too cocky and couldn't be swayed. He walked for 3 days and an extra night, until the big cave was in his sight. Young Fiddlestick didn't expect defeat, because he now believed his own deceit. He wandered into the cave without a care. "I have Darkvision," he giggled to the air. Alas, in the cave just out of sight, a grizzly bear hid, ready for a fight. It listened as Fiddlestick whistled and sang, before it burst from the wall with a bang. Tiny young Fiddlestick didn't see it coming, 600 pounds of bear rapidly incoming. It knocked Fiddlestick down and started to maul. The bear was tough and ready to brawl. Fiddlestick struggled and tried to get out, but the bear continued to fight with paw and snout. Eventually Fiddlestick wiggled free from the beast, and he ran from the cave as if he was greased. He ran all the way back to the town, and once he arrived he just lay down. The Queen and her knights all came to see, as Fiddlestick explained why he had to flee. But the Queen thought Fiddlestick's excuse was dire. "You have Darkvision, you naughty liar." The Queen thought Fiddlestick had stolen the gold, which he then quickly ran off and sold. Because of this, young Fiddlestick was exiled, and was forced to wander in the wild. So if you don't want to be a failure in your community's eyes, don't write up a character sheet based on lies.